Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Scared Shitless. I'm Ryan, and today I am joined by Jamie
Hello.
and Ali.
How you doing, YouTubers?
And today we are going to be given our personal pitch for Final Destination 6. Guys, making this movie, listen up because we're about to drop some fucking knowledge bombs that
Yeah, hopefully you've not decided on a shit idea because ours are better.
So what we're going to do is we're each. Sorry, Jamie, you were saying?
Those are fighting words.
Those are fighting words, yeah. So what we're going to do is we're each going to give a separate pitch, and then we are each going to vote for whose pitch we like the best. Ideally, there will be a winner, but here's the thing: if not, you let us know in the comments who you think wins, and let us know in the comments your pitches for Final Destination 6. Now, I believe before we even start our pitches, I believe they're going to follow a pretty standard formula here because we've all seen all the Final Destination films, so we know the formula. But Jamie, this was actually your idea to do this. So how about you go first, and it puts the pressure on me and Ali, depending on how much effort you've put in.
I was going to say putting Jamie on the spot
really,
right there.
Not really that much effort, to be honest. But I've got a scenario. So here we go. So picture the credits opening, and there's like war stuff going on. There's like guns and the storming of the Battle of Normandy and things like that. So my Final Destination is going to be starting in about 1952. So the fleet of the US has been somewhat depleted, so they have to.
Do you mind if I interrupt you 1 second? We should all probably do this. Is your Final Destination going to be a sequel or a reboot? Is it Final Destination 6 or is it Final Destination?
It's just an idea. I've not decided. I'll decide later.
Okay, decide once you've given the pitch. Fair enough. Sorry,
I was fucking setting the scene. You just jump in. Did you not?
Zach, shut up, you.
All right, so the US is currently rebuilding its military might, as there were some losses, of course, during World War II, and during their refurbishment of their arsenal of weapons and so on, they've decided to make a new class of fast attack submarines. Now, in 1952, we're under President Truman, so the movie is going to start with this new submarine and all the crew of the Navy of the United States who are going to be taking this vessel out on its first journey. Truman's there with the champagne, shakes it all up over the bow. It's all pomp and circumstance. They've got a fucking brass band, all this pish, So
brilliant.
Since it's its inaugural journey, they're not going very far. They're just taking the boat from New York, where it's going to be christened, and they're going to take it down to Florida, so all the Floridians can have a look at the Navy's new vessel. So since it's not going out for a wartime assault or whatever, it's not going to be heavily loaded. It has two missiles in it just in case there's any attacks of the submarine and it needs to defend itself or whatever. So everybody the crew of about 140, 150 people get in the submarine, and it's all going jolly. They're all happy to be there. That it's not active. It is active duty, but it's not so rigorous as it would be. And suddenly everything goes wrong.
Imagine that.
After only a few hours into their journey, one of the missiles in the submarine goes off and blows out the entire front of the submarine, and then chaos starts ensuing. Now, our main protagonist is going to be called something like really American, like John Rickman or something. So we've got Lieutenant John Rickman, and he's got to be the guy that's seeing the vision, but obviously it's going to happen first off. So a bunch of people die in the explosion. as you would expect, and then the water's going to start coming in. I think there's got to be a lot of cool CGI that can happen with like water coming. In fact, let's make it practical effects. Let's actually build these things and get the water fucking kill it, coming in. That kills a bunch of people. Then we've got the shit, there's chefs in the kitchen. I think there's going to be some awesome kitchen scene where someone gets fucking boom right in the front of the head with one of those like massive industrial meat slicers. That's going to be fucking... So he gets sculpted with that thing, and that's got to be I've not come up with a character name for that, but it can be like, I don't know, first crewman Bryce or something. He's going to get decapitated by that.
First petty officer. First
petty officer, is that it?
Yeah.
And I've not quite come up with all the deaths that are going to happen here, but I'm thinking maybe the fire suppression system goes fucking crazy, and CO2 comes out and fucking suffocates a few people, because obviously like the locks would have come, all the different compartments of the ship would have sealed off, so a few of the people might have died for CO2. The submarine will keep coming down. A few more people will die for electrocutions. A couple of people will have boring deaths. They'll fall, fucking sculpt their head on shit. But then when you get to the bottom of the ocean floor, the engines are going to catch fire. The engineers in the engine room are going to get fucking incinerated. And when they're at the bottom, some of the holds are going to malfunction, and we're going to get some awesome slow drown deaths. And then the other missile that didn't go off, because that's in the rear missile bays, that's going to get ignited by the fire, and because it wasn't made correctly, I don't know why, but I'm thinking it should be in 1952, because the safety standards will be less than on modern submarines, so the engines going on fire could potentially blow that other missile up, and then everybody is killed. So that's the pitch. Guy obviously flashes back as they're going on board, and since he's a lieutenant or whatever the rank is going to be, he freaks out. Two of his officers don't end up going, and 4 crewmen don't end up going, including the guy that gets scalped in the kitchen with the meat grinder in the galley even. I've not decided how these people are going to die by Death's design, but that's a disaster. It's not really fleshed out yet. I could have put some more, better ideas into like some extra kills for what happens actually on the submarine, but that's my pitch.
Okay, so you've pitched the disaster, and the rest is to be pieced together.
The rest is to be compared. I'm happy to workshop any ideas.
Okay.
If you guys have death, maybe we could work them in.
I've got to say, you've got you've put some good effort into the disaster. Mine's I've given a good overview to everything, including the deaths of the survivors. But you've really set the scene nicely. I've got to credit where credit's due. That's a good opening pitch.
And I like it's a vehicle we've not had yet.
That's true. Ali,
and it's something different because it's military. So I'm thinking in the deaths, I've not thought out what they're going to do, but I'm thinking when they get down to maybe the last 4, they have some kind of like, one of them's really into that sort of, what's it called, where they make like a bug out vehicle, and one of them's got one of those fucking crazy armored things. And so I think that could be a thing, but that's it. So I'm done. So I've got nothing more to say until I've heard all the pitches.
Ali, let's get your pitch.
Well, that just blows my my pitch out of the water, pun intended. Right, okay. So my pitch is not a sequel to the 5th film. It is a reboot on the franchise. Okay. And mine is actually going further back into the past. Mine is how about the first engine train to leave New York? I think let's go for between the late 1700s, early 1800s. And this woman sees the train with her other half, and it's going to leave from New York, and it's going to go across country all the way to California. But again, like all the premonitions are, she gets on the train, and happy life, they're good journey, everything like that. But then, as the film goes on, well, as the scene goes on, my apologies, certain things start to happen on this old school steam engine, where little accidents from like luggage falls down and kills somebody. Somebody falls through the gap going in between carriages. One of the train engineers gets burnt to a crisp by an engulfed flame from the engine, and all this happens over the space of that scene. But then we get back to the young lady, and she has that life of fear on her face, like all the other previous premonitions have in the other Final Destination films. And she swears to our partner, we can't get on this train, we can't get on this train. Her husband is quite obviously concerned, takes her away, and as soon as they get off, the train's about to leave, and just as they get step away from the station, the train blows up. For some reason, it blows up, and then as the film goes forward, we find out that there was other folk that were meant to get on the train that would have obviously died throughout the course of the scenarios that I've just mentioned. And as previous films have done, they each kill the person in the order that they were going to be in, i.e., there was like the train engineer that didn't get on the train when he was meant to, so he dies a certain way, and so on and so forth. And the young lady is one of the last people to die, and I think the reason why I'm going for this idea is just it would be cool to see it done back in those days. Obviously, with the likes of CGI or practical effects, and that time period's costume attire. But I'm an old school fan of that era, so it would be cool to see a Final Destination story from that era, and how they would, and how all that stuff would, how all the deaths would happen. If that makes sense, what I've just came out with.
Okay.
Yeah, I like that you went back that far. I think that's really.
Yeah.
Is it a steam engine train or?
Yeah, man. Yeah,
right.
a steam engine train. Yeah.
The first steam engine train in New York was in the 1830s.
Right. Well, I wasn't too sure which.
1831, the first successful steam railroad running regularly. Yeah, through New York, Hudson Railroad. or something.
So, I mean, it's a comedy. It's just I do like that era, and it would just be cool to see how all these deaths would happen with so little technology. If we look at the previous films, so many things killed all those people, whether it was pane glass basically smashing a young teenager, or an explosion near a movie theater, so on and so forth. I would just like to see the deaths happen from that era with all that technology back then.
Okay. Yeah. Right. I'll give mine then. Mine's is set. I mean, not present day, because the movie wouldn't be coming out now, but like say next year or when the movie does come out, close enough to present day. And instead of like like a vehicle incident or something like that. Because I thought about this as well. You know, we've seen a plane, we've seen a car pile up, we've seen a roller coaster, we've seen a car pile up again at a racetrack. We've seen a bridge collapse. I thought, and we've seen a train in Final Destination 3, the underground one. I thought I'd go for something a little different, and I thought movies I actually quite enjoy watching sometimes that are also, I mean, like the Final Destination films in the sense that you can just put them on and turn your brain off and enjoy. I think are disaster movies. And I think a disaster movie and Final Destination go together so well because it just makes sense for the two to get put together. So my disaster is a natural disaster. And,
nice.
So here's how I'm going to do it. I want to start by setting up with a bride and her two bridesmaids in one room, and a groom and his groomsmen in the other. And they're in like a really nice hotel room, and they're each having, you get a wee character moment with all these people. They're nice people. They're not dick bags like everyone in Final Destination 4 was. Yeah, but actually, fine, they're decent folk, people you want to root for, people you want to survive. And I'm gonna, I would like it if we could cast semi-decent actors to play said roles. I'm not talking Shakespearean or anything, but so someone who can, remember their lines wouldn't be terrible, or at least don't look like they're in pain when they're saying their lines. So start like this, and then they come out and they come onto this beautiful white sandy beach in the Caribbean, and they've got their whole wedding set on the beach as the sun's setting, and it's all really nice, and they get married and whatnot, and yeah, all well and good. They're all kind of having a drink after the wedding, where it's the parties on the beach as well. And the bride's parents are chatting to them and congratulating everybody. And, turns out the bride and the groom live on this beautiful Caribbean island. And everybody else is just there visiting them, because they're coming for their wedding. When all of a sudden a tsunami just comes and wipes everyone out. Like the whole wedding party, but not just the wedding party, it's buildings are getting smashed to pieces, cars are being flipped. Now they were able to see it coming, that they kind of get a head start running so they don't die straight away. So we get to see some of the serious disaster that a tsunami can do. But we'll get shit just getting trashed all over the place, trees getting taken down, cars getting flipped and destroyed, explosions happening, the streets like cracking open and people falling down, and people getting just smashed by this wave and drowning and crushed by vehicles, and crushed in buildings and everything. Imagine how much disaster a tsunami can do with everything. Cafes being flooded, just horrible stuff, fire, electrocutions, everything, until eventually the bride is actually taken. She's the last one to go, and she wakes and they're standing and they're just about to do their vows. And she's like, we need to get the fuck out of here.
Nice.
Come back, and just as that's happening, and they're like, we need to fucking go. And her two bridesmaids, the groom, the best man, and the bride's two parents. So 7 people in total get out of there. Sorry?
What about the priest?
The priest, he's fucked. All the other wedding guests, they're fucked. Because the bride doesn't convince them it's happening. She just panics and goes, and the groom goes with her because he loves her, and everybody else goes to make sure she's okay, not because they believe there's going to be a thing. And this will be potentially the only Final Destination film where this happens, the premonition happens, and they don't start fighting. Like no one's kicked off because a punch is thrown or any of that. It's just people are like, I better go and check on my friend, because the people in this movie are nice people who we don't want to die horribly, but they're going to. So anyway, they kind of make a head start and get away, but then the tsunami happens anyway, and with the speed it hits, despite them, getting the fuck out of there, hightailing it in a car or a couple of cars. The tsunami's still coming up behind them. So we can kind of get this wee, classic action sequence where the car's like, getting followed by this wave of water, and they just make it away in time before it subsides low enough that it's not any damage to them. It can maybe hit them and knock the car off the road or something, but not enough to actually kill them. Maybe a couple of cuts and bruises, but that's it. So those 7 survive, and they think they're okay for the first week or so. As happens, everybody's relaxed. They're watching shit. They're still in the Caribbean, because I want this whole thing to take place on this beautiful Caribbean island, because I want some amazing scenery, some really nice shots, and I want to contrast the horrific deaths with the beautiful location. I think that would be a really nice.
Is someone going to die simply with a coconut just hitting them on the head?
no one's going to die with the coconut.
Brilliant.
Yeah. The first people that we have to die are the bride's parents, because we couldn't let them survive for too long. They're nice people, in their early 60s maybe. And they're driving. As they get into the car, the wife's seatbelt doesn't work.
Of course,
it's a Final Destination film. This shit happens. So they decide, what, it's fine. We're not going that far. And as they're driving, tire blows out, the car flips off the road, and the wife's neck completely breaks. We're talking like head 360 Exorcist style shit.
You hear the crunch.
Of course, it's Final Destination. We're going to make it gruesome. We're talking gruesome deaths. And the bride's father, the husband, is quite badly hurt, but he's not dead. He can't get out the car, and people are trying to save him. But then, of course, the car blows up with him still inside it. Dies a horrible, gruesome death, and everyone loves a good explosion. So we're putting that in there. So the next death we have is the best man, who is down at a shooting range, taking out his frustrations. And this death's going to be quite simple. He's shooting the pistol, it's all going well. He reloads it, goes to shoot again, and there's a backfire clean into his head. Really, no fuss, no muss, but like instantaneous and like, holy shit. This is to be like almost like the getting, stepping in front of a bus version. It's kind of out of nowhere, out of the blue, just happens. You think he's fine. You don't get any of the usual setup. Just bang. And it's like, holy shit, they're just killing people like that. Because as we know, if you spend too much time on one kill, you kind of don't have time to focus on others. So sometimes it's nice to just get in and get a really sudden boom kill, And I think that could be really good. And, someone getting shot in the face at close range, ultimately, while, being simple, is still pretty gruesome. And of course, Final Destination will practical effects that shit up. We'll make it as horrible as we can. So next we have one of the bridesmaids, who is scuba diving, because again, it's the Caribbean. Let's utilize the environment. Let's get some underwater shots. There's some beautiful stuff there. We'll get them out in the corals and whatnot, and we'll keep it real simple. The water tank, fish rubs up against it, or some weird fucking death shit. I bet coral breaks and does something, and it starts letting water in, and she starts to drown slowly but surely with her scuba diving shit on. She tries to fix it, and it's not happening. She tries to get to the surface and just doesn't make it in time. Quite simple. Drown death.
You cruel sod. You cruel sod.
Like get attacked by a shark. That'd be
well. Maybe our corpse can get taken by a barracuda or something. But again, it's the Caribbean. Barracuda are there. And we could even play the song Barracuda just for a little joke afterwards. So next we have the second bridesmaid, who will be hiking. Again, we're making the most of the Caribbean scenery out in the mountains and whatnot there, and she's crossing a wooden bridge. The bridge collapses. She falls to her death. Think Indiana Jones Temple of Doom shit, try to hang on to this wood bridge as it's going down, but she just can't, and boom, goes down. Again, we'll show the impact. make it as brutal as we can. And finally, we have the bride and groom who, something happens where they think they're going to die, but they manage to get out safe. And the movie ends with them, it's okay. They're going to be okay until they're on a boat. And there's another premonition of shit going horribly wrong on this boat and them both dying. But there's nowhere for them to go. It's too late. Roll credits. And that is my Final Destination film now.
If I change my disaster from 1950 to after yours, he could be, a guy on the boat, a guy on the submarine. He could be a Navy guy.
But what about the groom? They don't let the bride. They don't let brides on the sub. It's true though. I mean,
they do now.
Not on submarines. They don't. Women aren't allowed to work on subs.
No,
They're not
really.
Oh,
No, they're allowed to work on the ships and everything, and they can hold every other role in the military, but they're not allowed in submarines.
wow! Did not know that.
Yeah. Anyway, I mean, if you change the sub to a ship, that'd totally work. It could be 1 and 2 of the new Final Destination series. So.
No, I wasn't suggesting she goes on the sub. I was suggesting they're both there, and he has the premonition, and she maybe she hasn't died yet for some reason. I don't know.
Fair enough. I'm sure it could work either way with some fiddling about.
Because we've not decided. I've not decided. I want that guy to be in mine. The guy that explains Def's design. I don't know how he's going to be.
You want Tony Todd to be in it?
Tony Todd's going to have some role to play.
I think if he was in yours, he would have to play a different character if yours is set in the 50s.
No. Could be his granddad or his father.
That's what I'm saying. He'd have to be a different character.
Yeah. He can be a different character, but he can still be.
I want him in mine as well. Just because.
I mean,
that whole family's got like a team obsession with the Def design knowledge.
I'm not so. I mean, yeah, Tony Todd's cool and all. I mean, Tony Todd probably should make some sort of appearance because it's Tony Todd, and he's very linked.
He could be a priest.
Franchise.
Tony Todd could be a priest.
I mean, I suppose. So.
There you go, there's one.
He got fed up with his life as a coroner.
Exactly. Yeah.
He left the States for the Caribbean and became a priest.
Man.
Up the cloth.
But either way, that's my pitch. So, right, what do we think? Whose pitch are you going to vote for, Ali?
Well, I can't vote for myself. So
that is the one rule. Yeah, we cannot.
I'm gonna, with all due respect, Jimmy, I'm gonna vote for Ryan's because I want to see Tony Todd be that priest.
That was Ryan didn't agree.
I didn't agree, but I'll take the vote anyway. I will take the vote either way. So.
Tony Todd. Yeah. Okay, and Tony Todd can be the president.
Awesome, brilliant.
Jamie, who's do you give the vote to? Mine's or Ali's?
I think I prefer Ali's disaster, but I like that you've got deaths in your scenario. I don't know. I think I'd like to see both. I think I'll vote for yours because you've added the supplemental deaths, which I think helps.
Yeah. Okay. Sweet. Then I win. That's good. I like that. Wait. I've got a trophy here. I would just like to thank. I'd like to thank myself
the real test. The real test is in the comments. So the YouTube people, you can decide who wins.
That is true. Let us know in the comments who you think should have won.
Or put your own in there, YouTubers. If you guys have got an idea, by all means.
100%. Let us know what you think in the comments as well. So if you are curious, I would have voted for yours, Jamie. purely because, Ali, we've already seen a train disaster and we
That's
haven't
fair.
seen a submarine.
That's
And like Jamie's, mine was very water-based, because I think
Mhm.
there's so much cool shit you can do with water deaths
Water, yeah.
that the series hasn't really explored yet. You know, we've seen a lot of water, but it's normally like water makes someone get electrocuted, or
Or
water
you
makes
get your ass sucked out via a high-powered pump in a
yeah,
pool.
or you slip on the water, and it's whereas I think we both utilize water in a different way. So I feel essentially there were just more similarities between our pitches than yours. But
Here's an idea then. Thinking about water, just thinking outside the box here, right?
right,
Could you put the Titanic story as a Final Destination story, as in like mix the two of them together?
you 100% could. However, that would piss off a whole lot of people because
That's their problem.
the people who the thing is with the Titanic is the people who died still have living family members. So when you base something on a real disaster, you've always got you've kind of got to
It
be
doesn't
careful.
stop them.
Well, it can be
stop
some
them.
characters. Some characters,
I'm just saying, it's easier to have a fictional disaster, and that way you're not.
I know.
It just makes things easier. So, but yeah, that's it from our first pitch battle, I suppose. Battle of the pitches.
It's kind of why I didn't go with my other idea of a sort of mass shooting disaster, because I thought it would be too controversial.
Yeah, it can be. It can be definitely.
I was actually going to go for medieval time, so that would have been quite a hard one to try and pull out. But no,
there's lots of ideas. Final Destination 6. You'd better come up with a fucking good one.
That's very true. That's very true. I mean, if it's not better than one of ours, I'm rioting in the streets.
You're clear, whatever you paid your
standing
writers,
out there by myself
much.
rioting. Yeah. But anyway, thanks for joining us, guys. I hope you have enjoyed this episode. If you would be interested for more content from Jamie, links to his channels will be in the description. He makes videos on Harry Potter and he reacts to stuff that he watches sometimes. If you would like videos from Ali, link to his channel will also be in the description. He talks about comic book stuff, he talks about science fiction stuff, and I believe he talks about what's on his t-shirt occasionally as well. NXT, baby. For more horror-based content, stay on the channel. We've got loads of shit. Like, subscribe, and as always, like any good villain, we will be back for one last scare.